Hello readers. So yesterday we talked about how to identify and retell the main idea, main events that make up a story, which are the plot. So summarizing our plot. Today we're going to summarize the story and use a set of questions to help us retell a different story. Yesterday we practiced with Owl Moon, and today we're going to practice with a different one. So first, I want to see if you can remember what a plot is. If you said that it's the main events that make up the story, then you're correct. What about summary? A summary is a quick retelling of a story's main events. So, quick retelling of the plot. Again, today we're going to practice a different way to summarize, so whichever strategy you like, you can use to retell. So, here I'm going to show you my steps. We're going to read a story and then you're going to practice on your own. So our first step is somebody. We need to think about who is the main character. Who is it that we're reading about? Step number 2 is wanted. So it's somebody wanted, but so then. Somebody wanted, what is the main thing they want? What is their want in the story? What is the main character asking for or looking for? Then we have but. So somebody wanted, but you have to think about the obstacles. What problems or obstacles are they facing? They're looking for something, but there's something standing in the way. So is our next step. Somebody wanted something, but. So, what do they do? What does this character do in the response to the problem? And then our last step is then. How does it all end up? How does it connect back to the problem and what the character wants? So pause the video here for a second. Write these steps down in your journal. I'm going to read our mentor text called Here Boy, and I want you to see if you can figure out who the main character is. What is it that they want? What obstacles are they facing? What problems come forward? So think about what they do, and then how does it end up? Do they tell us what happens? Make sure you have your writer's notebook and you have all of these written in. Here is our story that we're going to be using. It's called Here Boy, an excerpt from Because of Winn-Dixie. So this is taken out of the book. We're going to read and we're going to use our strategy. Remember, we're going to think somebody wanted, but, so, then. So main character, what do they want? What obstacles do they face? What do they do in response to those obstacles or problems? And how does it end up? Here Boy, an excerpt from Because of Winn-Dixie. At first I didn't see a dog. There were just a lot of vegetables rolling around on the floor, tomatoes and onions and green peppers. And there was what seemed like a whole army of Winn-Dixie employees running around waving their arms just the same way the store manager was waving his. So if I stop reading right here, it already tells me some of my main characters. Who are they talking about? Let's keep reading. And then the dog came running around the corner. He was a big dog and ugly, and he looked like he was having a real good time. His tongue was hanging out and he was wagging his tail. He skidded to a stop and smiled right at me. I'd never before in my life seen a dog smile. But that is what he did. He pulled back his lips and showed me all his teeth. Then he wagged his tail so hard that he knocked some oranges off a display, and they were rolling everywhere, mixing in with the tomatoes and onions and green peppers. So, the little girl is wanting something at the grocery store. She's facing this obstacle of a dog in front of her, right? Or maybe these employees. Let's keep reading and see. The manager screamed, "Somebody grab that dog!" This seems more like a problem to me, so maybe it's the manager screaming, right? Let's see what happens. The dog went running over to the manager, wagging his tail and smiling. He stood up on his hind legs. You could tell that he wanted to do that. All he wanted to do was get face to face with the manager and thank him for the good time he was having in the produce department. But somehow he ended up knocking the manager over, and the manager must have been having a bad day, because lying there on the floor right in front of everybody, he started to cry. The dog leaned over, real concerned, and licked his face. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn-Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big, and maybe stupid too, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. So after reading that passage, what do you think? Who is the main character? I think it was the little girl. What did she want? Maybe she wanted the dog, and she didn't really know it until the end. So what obstacles was she being faced with? I know that they wanted to call the pound, so maybe they wanted to take the dog. So what does she do? She says, "That's my dog." And she pretends that it's her dog, right? How does it all end up? If you've seen the movie or the book, I think you know what ends up happening. But that's not really something that they mention in the excerpt. I'm going to assign you a story to read. You're going to practice the strategy and answer some questions in Schoology. Make sure you have these strategies written down so that way you know how to use them. Good luck.